In Alabama with his vicious races, with his governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and notification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls and sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to this now with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discourse of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day, when all of God's children will be able to sing with new men, my country is yes. Sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Yes. And where my fathers died, land of the pilgrims cried. Yes. From every mountain side. Oh, yes. Let freedom reign, and if America to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom reign. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Oh, yes. Let freedom reign. From the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom reign from the hiking Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah. Let freedom reign from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Jesus. Let freedom reign from the curvaceous slopes of California. Oh, yeah. And not only that, let freedom reign from Stone Mountain in Georgia. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let freedom reign from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Oh, yeah. Let freedom reign from every hill and molehill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. Yeah. Let freedom reign, and when this happens, when we allow freedom reign, when we let it reign from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. All right.
You know, several years ago, I was in New York City. And while sitting there autographing books, a black woman came up. The only question I heard from her was, "You, Martin Luther King?" And I was looking down writing when I said yes. The next minute, I felt something beating on my chest. Before I knew it, I had been stabbed by this demented woman. I was rushed to Harlem Hospital. It was a dark Saturday afternoon. That blade had gone through an X-ray revealed that the tip of the blade was on the edge of my aorta, the main artery. And once that's punctured, you drown in your own blood. That's the end of it. Came out in the New York Times the next morning that if I had nearly sneezed, I would have died. Well, about 4 days later, they allowed me, after the operation, after my chest had been opened and the blade had been taken out, to move around in a wheelchair in the hospital. They allowed me to read some of the mail that came in, and from all over the states and the world, kind letters came in. I read a few, but one of them I will never forget. I had received a letter from the president and the vice president, but I forgot what those telegrams had said. I had received a visit and a letter from the governor of New York, but I've forgotten what that letter said. But there was another letter. Came from a little girl, a young girl, who was a student at the White Plains High School. And I looked at that letter and I'll never forget it. It says simply, "Dear Dr. King, I am a ninth grade student at the White Plains High School. Said, while it should not matter, I would like to mention that I'm a white girl. I read in the paper of your misfortune and of your son. And I read that if you had sneezed, you would have died. I'm simply writing to say to you that I'm so happy that you didn't sneeze. And I want to say today that I too am happy that I didn't sneeze, because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South started to sit in the lunch counters. And I knew if they were sitting in, they were really standing up for the best in the American dream, taking the whole nation back to those great wells of democracy which was dug deep by the founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1961 when we decided to take a ride for freedom and ended segregation and interstate travel. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1962 when Negroes in Albany, Georgia decided to straighten their backs up. And whenever men and women straighten their backs up, they are going somewhere, because a man can't ride you back to Methodist bed. If I had sneezed, I would have been around here in 1963 when black people in Birmingham, Alabama aroused the conscience of this nation and brought into being the Civil Rights Bill. If I had sneezed, I wouldn't have had a chance later that year in August to try to tell America about a dream that I had. If I had sneezed, wouldn't have been down in Selma, Alabama to see the great movement there. If I had sneezed. No, it doesn't matter now. It really doesn't matter what happens now. I left Atlanta this morning, and as we got started on the plane, there were 6 of us. Howard said over the public address system, we're sorry for the delay, but we have Dr. Martin Luther King on the plane to be sure that all of the bags would checked, to make sure that nothing would be wrong on the plane. We had to check out everything carefully, and we've had the plane protected and guarded all night. And then I got into Methodist, and some began to talk about the threats, or say the threats that were out, or what would happen to me from some of our white brothers. Well, I don't know what would happen now. We got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know today that we as a people shall get to the promised land. And so I'm happy today. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.